In 2017, not long after Iron-Blooded Orphans finished its second season, Sunrise announced Mobile Suit Gundam Twilight, an adaptation of the novel of the same name, taking place in the 0096 Universal Century. The story follows two civilians who were formerly part of the Principality of Zeon during the One-Year War and Neo Zeon in the years following. The two dead offered to infiltrate the ruins of the Meteor Axis from the second Neo Zeon War and find the wreckage of the Sazabi, Char's mobile suit from the movie. Sounds interesting, right? Yeah, too bad I've told you more about it than the actual show does, because all this looked nice right up until you see the runtime. Oh no. I guess we'll start with the good. Arlette is a very likable protagonist, and I found her a lot more interesting than a good portion of the usual young angsty boys or traumatized adults we get in Gundam anime. Her personality really came off as a breath of fresh air after having watched every other UC anime, mostly back to back. The mobile suit designs are as solid as ever and the animation is good. The lighting and colors all blend together nicely to create a very interesting underground aesthetic that isn't seen that much in Gundam. Kinda reminds me of the Jaburo arc from the original anime. Fights are generally pretty well choreographed and the music tends to fit. And that's about it, cause I sure can't say anything good about the story. Was there a story? You could have fooled me. I can't even begin to understand why they bothered with this if they were gonna make it this short. Nothing gets any breathing room to do with anything, and the best story related moments are just vague symbolic scenes with some nostalgic references to old Gundam. It doesn't feel like they tried to make a big story in a short length. It feels like they made a full anime and then chopped it up into little 3-minute episodes. Sometimes it gets all artsy, like a weird AMV, and you're just like, is this really what you want to do with the runtime? We've got like 10 minutes left in the entire show and this is how you want to spend it? Char says he's doing 3 times as fast, but that's whack. This thing goes like Ultra Instinct times 5 24/7. It just never stops going. No time to explain, just gotta keep going. What was that? That'll kinda interesting. Nope, just gotta keep rushing on to the end. That'll like barely exist. Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure of that, bootleg ribbons. We got like 9 minutes left in the show and you haven't done anything yet. Like, you could have made this an AMV and it would have been better. At least then you can pretend it's an artistic choice that it's fade. There's some scenes that would be really emotional and some fights that would be mad hype if I actually had any context as to what's happening or had these characters appear more than once. The antagonist tries to be intimidating and threatening, but you've only seen him in the episode before the last. Also, it's kind of funny as a side note how with this and Thunderbolt, Sunrise is really going hard on making Zeon more sympathetic. Also, this thing's ending is basically just a giant read the novel, but even more blatant than most anime. And if this is meant to be an ad, it didn't work. Boy, is there no information on that novel. There's like zero discussion anywhere that I could find. If I didn't have the wiki and the video descriptions, I wouldn't have a clue what this show was about. It's borderline incomprehensible. The only way you can really understand it is to watch it multiple times, and that's not worth it for what it is. So should you watch it? No, unless you're a hardcore completionist trying to watch everything, don't bother. I talked in my narrative review about how I didn't feel like it added a lot to the series, but I wish I had seen this to compare it to. This thing makes narrative's contribution to the series look massive. I'd argue that even Idlu contributes more to the series. Even G-Savior was more comprehensible than that, and that movie is garbage. Don't watch Twilight, but thanks for watching this instead. In fact, this was probably longer than Twilight. This is probably actually longer.